Welcome, everybody. This is the second CAR-PGA session. We talked about doing this quarterly, but I feel like there's so many people we could talk to. I know, David, you were with me last time. I felt like we just should try, if we can, try and do it monthly.
Yeah.
And we're already well on our way to doing that. So I'm Mike Tresca, chair. I'm joined by Ted and David, board members. And we are very excited to have Mike Best with us, who is a new member, as well as Fenway Jones, who's also a new member. So we will be talking to Mike, and we're going to advertise about Fenway. So one of the things, before we get talking to Mike, we wanted to just go through a few housekeeping items. And one of them, which I was remiss in doing last time, was welcoming all our new members. Hawk's joining. Excellent. So I just wanted to give that list and welcome them formally. Pookie's joined. Pookie's a well-known reviewer. I don't know if you know. I'm familiar with Pookie's work. So really excited to have Pookie. Tim Hutchings and I go back quite a ways. Tim has written some amazing experimental role-playing games. In fact, Tim's got to be a guest at some point. I think we're going to have Tim just to hello, Hawk, just to have hear his experiences. I've used some of his games, particularly his vampire game, and it's just amazing. Mike Best has joined us, and he's going to I'm not going to spoil it, but he's going to talk about what he's come here to talk about. John Rice, who is, of course, massively involved with open gaming. Jared Nielsen, who we go back with several Kickstarters as well, and Bill Bridges. So, and then, of course, most recently, Fenway Jones. Welcome, Fenway. Yay, Fenway. So very excited to have Fenway. And as a sneak preview, we're going to talk to Fenway next month about Jasper's Game Day, which helps support mental health and is a huge opportunity. And there's some exciting sponsors, and I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but it's very exciting. But we're very excited that Fenway joined us and excited to have you all. So welcome, everybody, those who are on the session and those who are watching this video, because this will be recorded and posted on the CAR-PGA website. Other than that, we didn't have much more from a CAR-PGA perspective. David and Ted, I don't think you had anything, but at any point, if you remember something more that you'd like me to share, feel free. I do want to give time to our guest speaker, Mike Best. So Mike and I go way back. I guess we go way back, do we? Yeah, we do. So we played D&D a lot in person, back when one played in person and online. So he's an amazing person. I'm very excited that he's joined us two different ways. I'm glad that he joined the CAR-PGA and glad that he joined this session. And he's been my sort of really only DM, I think. So I'm a bit much to DM for, as you might be able to imagine. So not everybody's up to it. And Mike is definitely up to it. So he's been my DM, which is very exciting. And I've been his DM. Yeah. Well, it goes both ways. Otherwise, somebody's character suffers. So, but most importantly and exciting for this conversation is Mike is very involved in getting kids into gaming. It's a passion of mine. It's certainly a passion of Mike's. It's not surprising because we have kids, so it's certainly in line with sort of our life experiences, but a huge thing. And of course, if you know Mike, he never does anything halfway. So he's not like, oh, I bought my kid a role-playing game. He, of course, does way more than anybody I know to really engage not just his children, but a lot of people's kids and school systems and the entire gaming community. So welcome, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
I'm talking you up, so it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Well done.
But I have some questions. And we will get to your Kickstarter, which I do want to get to. But I figured we start with sort of the basics, which I always ask sort of the softball question just to get you sort of warmed up, which is really talk about your gaming experience.
Oh yeah, well, thanks, Mike. I mean, I've been a gamer my whole life, pretty much, ever since, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years old. I remember those old school D&D books, the old modules, the monocolored, whatever, the giant. I remember the giant modules were a favorite of ours. Playing in my friends' garages and stuff. And all my friends through high school, which I still have today, there's all hardcore gamers. I mean, yeah, I've just been interested in gaming as long as I can remember. And went through my Magic the Gathering phase in college. Spent many sleepless nights playing Magic, and yeah, and here I am with kids now. So I want to get them. I want to get them involved. I want them to. I mean, I hope have the same sort of passion that I do for it.
So did you get involved as a kid? Was it,
Not
saying like, were you a little
really. I
kid
think
or?
it was more of a junior high kind of thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, look at this cool thing that so and so found. Like, oh, that looks fun. And like, no one really knew the rules very well, but it was awesome, and we just kept playing it. And started at basic D&D on up, really. So
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I think I started at 7. My mom was my first DM. So yeah, I remember it quite succinctly. So obviously you've been thinking about this a lot in terms of how you can bring gaming to kids.
yeah.
Where did what was that evolution for you with your children? Like, how did that start? Was there an age that you were like waiting for? Did it just
Yeah,
sort of
I mean,
happen or?
it was grade school, and it was yeah, my eldest, when she was in kindergarten, I don't think she was really I wasn't really ready to like teach her games yet. That age is still pretty young as far as I'm concerned for like, hey, I want to sit down and keep your attention for half an hour and play a game. But once she got into third and my youngest got into kindergarten, I was like, well, this is cool. Now I can get them both in the same room after school. Um, and so we started an after school club at their elementary school. They had a brand new school. Their old school got torn down. They got a new one built. So it was really a blank slate. It was perfect timing. I'm like, hey, has anyone ever done an after school club? And the principal was like, well, I'm not really sure. This is the first year we've had this school. And so we got right in on the ground floor and said, well, I want to do this. What do you think? And so we started a fantasy themed. It wasn't exactly 100% gaming. It was more just like fantasy genre club. And we had kids from, sorry if I'm rambling, if I'm going past your question here,
You're
but
not. Keep going. That's perfect.
from
Yep.
from kindergarten through fifth grade.
Hmm.
So we had kids of all ages, and we found that there was a natural sort of like, the older kids kind of went and they didn't want to hang out with kindergartners, so they'd go over here and they'd try to play D&D in the corner. And then you've got the kindergartners who want to craft and they want to paint and they want to sing songs. And then the kids in between that sort of wanted to just play board games, maybe, and they were curious about role playing games. So we had parent volunteers just started coming out of the woodwork. I mean, our first year we had, I think they had to cap us off at, I think, 23 kids per session. They were 6-week sessions, 1 day a week after school. In a free club, we wanted anyone who wanted to join, regardless of your income background or whatever you want to say, ethnicity, or I mean anybody. It's very inclusive, and yeah, and so we just had, that was the most challenging part, was we had such a wide range of kids from K through 5, but we had so many parent volunteers that we had, like, for example, we had the one parent volunteer who was the D&D player and said, okay, well, you go and hang out with the older kids and sort of guide them and teach them D&D. And then we had some parents that were like, oh, I really like crafting and I can do these cool things. So that parent would go over here with a group of 8 or 9 kids and they would do an activity. And then we had a parent who maybe, well, I'm interested in board gaming. So a few kids would flock around that parent and they would play a game. They'd play like Labyrinth or, whatever. 5 Minute Dungeon was a club favorite. But yeah, so it was really cool. And it was so heartening to see all the parents coming forward. Like, I don't know what it's like after school clubs. I don't know like how many parents you get as volunteers for these kinds of things. But one woman commented to me, she was like, this is a total success. Like, you literally have more parent volunteers than you need. I mean, at any given time, we had 4 or 5 adults in the room. So the kids got special attention too, right? Because you got
Right.
the D&D kids, and I mean, it was awesome. It was,
That's amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
it's funny because I did a review of John Peterson's book, The Elusive Shift, and one of the things he talks about is how Gary Gygax knew he wanted to get D&D out to people beyond wargamers. And one of the things he realized was that that audience was sci-fi fans and fantasy fans. It was people who weren't your typical gamer, was how you got all the ancillary fantasy stuff, which was, of course, in the 70s, just starting, right? In other words, it wasn't tied to gaming. It was out there, but it wasn't connected. Where now, fast forward decades later, it seems like it's a natural fit, right? Where like if you want to do
Yeah.
a fantasy craft, no one would think that's weird next to a D&D game.
Right, right, right.
Where we've come so far where it used to be like, oh, what? And of course, by the way, what his instincts were right? Because what an opportunity to get. Maybe
Yeah.
you go back and forth. Maybe certainly that's been my evolution. Maybe you game sometimes, and then you do other crafts and hobbies that are in the range of that. I know certainly that was part of what you've done
Yeah.
for
Well,
for the kids.
the way the club itself was there was one cohesive aspect of the entire club, right? So there was no prerequisite to join the club. Anybody could join, whatever. But the one rule is you had to make a character and you had to participate in the story because the club had an overall sort of story arc. And so what we did is we built a big map on the wall, a clean slate, Lord of the Rings, old school map, whatever, without mountains, without anything. And the kids, they had a character and they had to write, well, where's your character from? Let's populate this map. So the story, week by week, it sort of unfolded. We'd start each session where the kids, hey, does anybody want to talk about their character? Does anybody have anything they want to talk about the realm? And of course, kids love to hear themselves talk. So they would always step up and be like, okay, well, my character's from the Wandering Woods, and this is what happens in the Wandering Woods, and this is my character, and he's awesome at this. And so each week I would take this information home, and then at home I would put stuff on the map, right? I would start composing the map. And so the next week I'd put the map up and there would be new cool stuff on it. And the kids would be like, wow, I made that. That's really cool. And so as we went on, we've populated this whole map and we basically built a realm, right? And that got the kids more engaged. Even the older kids were really into it because they're super interested in talking about their characters and how awesome they are. And so that's kind of how we started it. And then after a few minutes, we branched off and we did different crafting activities and stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting too. Fandom obviously has morphed too, and it's so fascinating because what works with kids works with fans. And I was just reading an article. IO9 did an article. I was talking about this earlier to my family about curative fandom versus transformative fandom. And curative fandom is collect. You collect things and you sort of. So that's you imagine the gathering, you collect the cards, you collect the miniatures, you collect the figurines. But transformative fandom, which is a very different kind of fandom, but is no less important, is cosplay, fan fiction, creating your own content, which, by the way, comes naturally, but isn't always encouraged from a corporate perspective because there's lots of copyright and a lot of other stuff. And it's really fascinating because, transformative fandom is accommodating to people of color, because what happens is they can take it, LGBTQ communities, they can take it and put themselves in it. And, that's the value, of course, I would argue always has been in any kind of sort of imaginative play, was you take it. I mean, that's what you were creating, is a feedback loop that the kids could see themselves in it, which is so rewarding when you get it. And it's doesn't happen enough sometimes in, I think, a lot of even fandom communities where you're like, I'm trying to see myself in there. And hopefully you make them a fan for life because that's an amazing experience when you get that really exciting. To your point, I made that, and I want to come back and see what you did with what I made.
Yeah.
Next week.
Well, so, and really just making friends too, right? I mean,
right.
Like my best friends are friends that I gained with when I was 11, 12 years old. And I mean, some of these kids now, we literally had parents say to us, oh, my kid wants to go to school. This is so cool. Like my kid, like they made play dates and they made new friends and it brought all these kids together, in a safe place where they can just rock their individuality. And you know what, you come dressed, have a cape on, I don't care. You can come cosplay and dress however you want. And it was awesome, man. I mean, people really and the parents too, like, selfishly, I did it for myself to make friends, and I did make some really awesome friends. And I think it was a good opportunity for a lot of adults my age who used to be gamers and like, I haven't played D&D in 20 years. Like, oh wow, there's a club for that. I wish there was if I had a nickel for every time I heard someone say, I wish there was a club like this when I was a kid. Like, well, yeah, I wish there was too. And so they start bringing their kids, and they're happy to volunteer, and it doesn't work without parent volunteers. So
right.
I mean, I'm no teachers. I can't handle 25 kids of various ages and try to keep that together. So.
Right. Right. And it is fascinating because you're at an inflection point. This is part of the rise of role playing. Obviously, the pandemic's has exacerbated it, which is that parents
Sure.
are at the right age where they want to help their kids, and kids are at the right age to be able to comprehend and maybe embrace some of the role playing aspects. So, of course, this just keeps growing. So you start this thing, it takes
Yeah.
off. I can tell you as a
Yeah.
volunteer
I mean, I
myself,
could, I could, how much time you got? I mean,
what
it,
happened next?
well, it started taking off, right? And so we had too many kids. And so the goal, the first goal is we want everyone to at least try it once, right? So some kids, unfortunately, had to sit out. There were 2 sessions a year, and they had to sit out. A couple kids had to sit out, and they gave up their spots, which I was kind of surprised. The kids were happy to surrender their spot so that someone else could try it. I mean, it was like it's little things like that that I witnessed that really is really heartwarming. But so basically what ended up happening is the second year we did it, we split the group off, and the older kids, 8 or 9 kids, they didn't want to hang out with the little kids that were making so much noise because they wanted to like get down and play D&D every week. So they went in a different room with a parent supervisor. And then, so we had basically 2 clubs going at the same time. And we had guest speakers come in. We had a local historian come in full plate armor. And he had the kids suit him up and taught him about the Battle of Agincourt. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was rad. We just started branching out in different places like that, and yeah, I mean, the end game is to start clubs all over the place. I hope that's what this inspires, or.
Well, and as I heard of this, I would often say you basically invented your own convention. Although, frankly, it almost sounds like you invented your own festival. not even
Well,
a
yeah, I mean,
convention,
it was pretty crazy.
because it was, drawing in people from all walks of life, different arts. I know there was a lot of creation too, right? It wasn't just
Oh,
sort of
certainly.
imaginative play.
Yeah,
Right.
so and that was another cohesive element that every session we did the story bit, right? We start with the story. We had one parent who was a musician, so sometimes he would come in dressed as an elf, and he would sing songs and they would sing songs. But another thing that I made sure happened at each session was we had a crafting activity that happens for every single kid in the room if they want to. They don't have to do it, but I had supplies for the whole group. And each crafting activity turned it into like a little like, hey, we're going to create a magic item, right? We're going to forge magic items. And so each activity had a little story behind it that we'd intro with the story, and like, oh, you went through the forest, you met the elves, and they gave you these bracelets, whatever. And we're going to make those bracelets now. Awesome, guys. So who wants in on this? And then, most of the kids are interested, and the older kids, they just wanted to go play D&D for the most part, which is awesome in its own right. But yeah, so we would have a crafting activity in each day, each time we met. So the kids got to build things. They got to paint wands. They got to play with their familiar stuffies. They got to, do all sorts of stuff.
I love it. And so
yeah.
this now, so now this is growing and growing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're repeating it, and of course it's getting bigger and bigger. So at what point do you say, I think I'm onto something, and I think we could do more with this
Well, and then COVID
enthusiasm?
hit. Yeah. I mean, we were at that point, I think. We were reaching critical mass, and we had I had planned my first gathering, my first event, right, at one of the local school gymnasiums. We were going to have the Gathering of the Realms. Local gaming stores coming in, people from different schools, lots of crafting and gaming and all sorts of, sort of basically Kingdom of Row is the name of the club. Kingdom of Row on a grand scale, right? We get a couple hundred people in there, and it was going to be so awesome. And then that was, of course, it was scheduled early April, and
Yeah.
COVID struck, and boom, that obviously didn't happen.
So you, along with everybody, right? Anybody who was
Yeah.
interested in gaming, which thrives on face-to-face, and
Yep.
and especially crafts and kids too. So that's an extra factor, or either take your pick, germ
Totally.
spreading or whatever.
Crafting
So
with kids, all grabbing
yeah,
the same markers, and
yeah, yeah,
it's
that's just all blown up. So
Yep.
I mean, that had to be devastating, right? So
Yeah, it
did
was
you
pretty
sort
soul
of
crushing.
regroup, or what did you do?
Well, so yeah, it was pretty hard. It sucked. And then so then the summer goes on, and I'm thinking to myself, well, how do I reach out? How do I keep this momentum going, right? How do I get these kids active? How do I keep this momentum going? And I don't want the kids to lose what they've learned. So my girls and I, we took several of the crafting activities, like the most tried and true, the best ones, and we wrote a new story, a little adventure, and we put everything in a box. So we kind of made Kingdom of Row in a box, right? And there's five little tasks that the adventurer goes on. They make a character, anything they want. There's really no rules per se, but they make a character, and then they make potions, they paint a wand, they save a unicorn, they do all these activities. And so we boxed up maybe 30 or 40 of them, and we just called people up and we're like, hey, we have this cool thing we want to give to you. We want you to see if you like it, see what your kids think of it. I guess you could call them beta testers, but really the goal was, my goal at the time was, I just want these kids to, I need a creative outlet. So, and I need to do this. So we did. We dropped them all off around town. Everybody freaked out. They were like, this is so much fun. This is great. My kid has been I haven't seen my kid this happy in months. I mean, it was really rewarding.
I was a beta tester. My kids were,
You
so
actually, you were,
I can
you
speak to
absolutely
that.
were.
And I remember giving them the box, and I had to walk away for a second, and they had already opened it and were translating dragon runes.
Yeah, it
Um,
was, yeah.
and they have all that stuff. They have the potions, and I was laughing because I think they use the potions in ways you didn't expect them to, and they use the
Absolutely,
pieces
that's the
differently.
beauty of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we're
um,
still getting parents saying, "Oh, I remember those potion vials you gave me back in July, man. These kids are still playing with those things. They're still playing with that wand they painted, and
that's awesome.
it's very rewarding." So basically, we decided at that time, we're like, well, this is an awesome thing. We need to keep this going. We got to up our game, right? And I wasn't super comfortable just like giving away boxes to lots of people I didn't know or that weren't in the club, just liability and whatever. And so we're like, okay, well, we're gonna do it legit. We're gonna start a business. We're gonna dot the I's and cross the T's. We're gonna keep it real. And so we did. We spent maybe October, November, December, hired a lawyer, started a business, got a name, this and that, and the other thing. We rewrote the story. My wife's a teacher. A good friend of mine's a teacher. They helped edit the story to make it more kid friendly and just more easier instructions for kids to follow. Um, and yeah, I mean, we put it in a box and we refined it, refined the story, refined the crafting activities, and now we're at the Kickstarter. We're like, let's do this. We have a local artist, a good friend of mine who's also a gamer, named Bruce Tracy. It was a no-brainer to give him a call because he's such an awesome guy, good friend, and is an excellent artist. And we brought him on board, and he was happy to do it. And the rest is history. Here we are. We're bringing our dreams to life, and hopefully we can make some kids happy in the meantime. And in the meantime, we're still trying to use some of that money we collect from the Kickstarter to fund more activities for the school, because we don't want this club to end. We want it to go on. I mean, COVID, we'll see. But we've already planned a virtual event where we're going to pass out 100 crafting kits to our local school, and we're going to go online and we're going to dress up like our characters and be goofy, and we're all going to paint together. And so we're trying to keep it. We're trying to keep it real. I'm trying to keep it going.
So you launched. So the business is Kids Arcanum.
Kids Arcanum is the name of the actual business. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And what's your sort of vision and mission for that business?
Well, I mean, would I love to make a living doing this stuff? Of course. I mean, that'd be awesome. But in the meantime, we want to break even. We want to get as many of these boxes out into the world as we can. Get kids started. The box is geared it is definitely geared towards a younger audience, maybe like K through second grade or third grade. The older kids probably start getting more interested in straight up D&D. But yeah, we just want to get it out in the world and spread a little positivity and spread a little cheer. And, if we can make some money in the meantime that we can funnel back into the club when that inevitably starts up again, We want to keep the club free. We want to, I just want to, I kind of have a purchasing problem. I like giving things away to people.
You do.
Yeah, and we've been giving stuff away to a lot of the local schools too. These little dragon crafting kits that we've made. We've given a few of those away, and I know it's fun for me. I kind of dig it.
So one of the things I've seen a lot, this has happened because there was definitely like everybody grows older with it and they have kids now. So they're all like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to introduce D&D to kids. They're going to be great. I'm going to turn my family into my D&D party game group. And a lot of what I've seen is very much not kid-friendly stuff, sort of forced to try and make it kid-friendly.
Yeah.
And then sort of hope for the best, right? In other words, it's fun for dad, it's fun for mom, it's not necessarily fun for the kid.
Right.
Or maybe it is, but So one of the things that became apparent immediately, and this is why I made the point about transformative fandom, is you did not take that approach. I felt like you sort of intuitively got that, your goal is not necessarily make them play D&D at the end of this, but to sort of give them personas and engage in a fantasy world, and whatever that is. If you're okay with rolling dice, that's great. So was it the girls that helped you get there? And by the way, what's in terms of like age group of your girls that you focused on? Is there is there a range that you were thinking? Like, what was the sweet spot for that, and how do you approach them in a way that doesn't feel like I'm teaching you D&D?
Yeah, I mean, the sweet spot again is probably about the shocker, the age of my own girls.
Right.
And we've tested all this stuff, and we know that kids of that age really like they like the crafting, they like touching things, they like building things. Again, like you mentioned, those potion vials, they play with those things constantly, and they use them for 5 different activities. They put sand in them, they'll put potions in them, all sorts of different stuff. For lack of a better term, this is hopefully a gateway into, maybe when they get older, they're like, I remember I like magic wands and Harry Potter. And then I'd love to play D&D with my kids someday. But I'm also finding that's kind of a hard thing to force on kids.
Right.
Like my 9-year-old, I'm not, I hope she becomes a D&D player and that we can game together. But right now she really likes dressing like a wizard and painting wands. And I'm going to roll with that because that's awesome. You don't have to be a gamer per se to like make this a success. I just want kids to be themselves and explore a little bit. And honestly, like it might sound corny, but with the whole pandemic and everyone's stuck at home, like the kids need an outlet. They need some way to channel their creativity. And I think this has helped a lot of kids, and I hope I hope honestly the pandemic just goes away and we can get back to business and gaming in person. But in the meantime, like I want kids to have something to do and, sort of get that creative spark, fire that up,
And, it certainly, it's a natural evolution. I'm not surprised by it at all that you went from sort of what can I do with my kids to what can I do with my kids at school? What can I do with other kids and help them at school? And then like you were getting to convention levels, and now you've sort of launched that. So you decide to do a Kickstarter. And where do you start with that? I mean, obviously the box was a piece of it, which is called the
Crafty Quest Box.
Crafty Quest
Box. Because they craft and they are on a quest, right? And it's all in the box.
So yeah, that's right. All truth and advertising.
I'll tell you, man, Kickstarter has been a trip just trying to figure that whole scene out, because when, I was, a few months ago, I'm like, I'm just going to do a Kickstarter. It'll be awesome. And then we started, and my wife sort of gave me a reality check, and she's like, well, have you thought about this? What about this? We need to do this. We need to do this properly. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Like, this is intense. Like, there's a lot to do. I mean, it doesn't have to be super crazy intense, but for what we wanted to do, we really wanted to do it right and make sure that we represented it well. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
no, I think, well, let's bring it up. So I'm going to share my screen, and you can talk to that while we look at this. So let's bring.
I would say definitely do your homework if you're going to start. If you want to launch a Kickstarter and you have something that you're passionate about, Honestly, my best resource was just friends, calling friends and getting advice from people that have done it before.
So now you did something really interesting, right? So you launched a Facebook. Is this a page or a group? Maybe it's a group.
It's our Facebook page.
It's a page.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
launched a page. So I think one of the things you did that was really important is you started working on a community first, which to me makes lots of sense, right? So in other words, you didn't just go, hey, here's
Yeah.
this box, but you
Yep.
started working on a community. So what was your community building? Here's the box. Look
So
at
the
that.
community building, I first started with people that we also have our club page, Kingdom of Row. It started there.
That's right.
Um,
Yep.
and I sort of transferred a lot of that information, and said, hey guys, we're going to start this business and we're going to start this new web page. And the goal is to launch a Kickstarter. So when we launch, we want everyone to just strike fast, and it's been such a learning experience for us. I mean, this whole starting a business and I mean, launching a Kickstarter and making a network, and it's crazy. It's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding.
And one of the things that's happening here, as I'm scrolling through, we're seeing some of the announcements, is you've been getting support from game stores or
Sure.
hobby stores. So how does that
Yep.
work? Do they just
Well,
sort of contact you, or you contact
yeah,
them?
I
Or
mean, we had a relationship with a couple of the stores because when we wanted to do our gathering last year, and just friends of friends, and just going to these stores and buying stuff from the store, you get to know these people, and we already sort of had a mini network, and it just kind of grew, and I reached out to a couple of the stores that I knew would probably be interested. And Bruce, our artist, who reached out to another store that he was good friends with, and all these, this community. I found that this community is so supportive. The gaming community in this town is like everyone helps each other. There's not this sort of competition. It's really refreshing just to see all these people know each other and they all seem to be on friendly terms, and it's so cool to be a part of it. And honestly, it's cool just to support their stores because I know that in COVID, in the pandemic, it's been hard for a lot of local businesses. Matter of fact, one of the things we did over the summer before we started the Crafty Quest box was we actually, Kingdom of Row, we went online and we did game reviews, and we bought games from local stores and tried to give them a little plug, give them a little boost. Just anything we could just to keep it going.
that's awesome. And I
Because
mean,
we want these. I mean, we want everyone to thrive, and we want everyone to be around after the pandemic is done. And we don't want our local gaming stores we don't want to see them go under. I mean, they're wonderful people that deserve to prosper.
and I think it's a huge piece of this, right? Which is, oh look, it just went up.
It just went up. Hey,
It just went
keep
up while we're
sharing.
talking. Which is that what you're looking to do is not, again, it's community building, right? So you're
Yeah,
not just looking
absolutely.
to sort of create a product.
Yeah,
You're engaging a
we're not
community
just
after this.
yeah, we're not just trying to make a buck here. I mean, of course, that's the dream, right? To do what you love. But we really we want the community to thrive. There was a local gaming festival that got canceled last year called PortCon, which was it's a pretty big deal for the local economy, and they had to cancel it. And that's one of the local gaming stores runs that Weekend Anime, and we want that to be here when this is over. We want all that stuff to just come back with a vengeance.
And this is, I mean, look, the proof is in the pudding here. We just saw the number. Obviously, this is striking a chord with parents, and frankly, you don't have to have kids. There's kids I know. I ordered some for my nephew. Hopefully, he doesn't watch this. But so clearly, I think you're on to something. So what I think one of the things here is this is just the beginning, right?
Oh yeah, well that's my hope. I mean, we've crafted a story for the first box, and it's to be continued. Our goal is to have we're thinking 3 boxes, 3 adventures, and it all loops together in one story arc. Um, Obviously, this had to succeed for us to be able to invest in doing a second box.
Mm-hmm.
And once we've completed this project and we move on. We can start focusing our creative energies on the next box.
I love it. Look at
I
this
mean, I'm
stuff.
excited. I really dig it. This is a really good creative outlet for me. Like I said, I sort of have a problem when it comes to like buying crafting materials and spending too
No,
much
that's
money on
called
stuff.
being a DM, actually, is what I would call that.
Yeah, well, it's glorious, but it's, I really enjoy the process of, purchasing like, hey, this would be a cool thing, and we're going to call this a magic amulet. So we buy a bunch of crafting stuff, and the kids test it, and then we get together with some neighborhood kids, and they test it. It's like, wow, that's a great activity. We should use that in one of these boxes. It's very, very entertaining.
you
It's very
you just
enjoyable.
basically have a giant pool of players and you're the game master. I know I've just said that you're not trying to make them DMs, but
But you
I
see, there's
love it.
no real rules here,
Yes,
so I can just kind of do whatever. And
that's right. But
yeah,
yes, basically your creative outlet has now expanded massively to more people and more kids. So I think that's
yeah, it's
amazing.
it's so much fun, and I want these kids to make powerful friendships that are going to last them decades. And I mean, I hope that's what's happening. I knew that's what happened during the Kingdom of Row days. These kids got together, and now they're still gaming, socially distant gaming in the out in their backyards. So
So probably two of the big questions that I think come up around this, right? The first one
sure.
is I'm a parent. I want to get my kids here. You're doing it. Like it sounds like you're actually doing it, right? I would say you successfully. I think there's a lot of parents who probably don't have the level of enthusiasm. Not enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is not the word. Maybe it's creative resources is the better way to put it. What's your advice for a parent to, other than back this Kickstarter, which is an obvious one? What's your advice to a parent who's like, I want to get my kids engaged. I don't know where to start. What should I do?
Well, that was the thing. That's what I heard from a lot of parents was, what do I do? Like, I want my kid to learn about D&D and to learn about fantasy adventure. What do I do? I mean, yes, something like this, I feel like is a good gateway because it's very easy. It's very light on the rules. You make a character, and your character is whatever you want it to be. Um, Gosh, it's
You're like, my answer was just support the Kickstarter. What do you
well,
mean?
no, I mean, I think it's a hard question to answer because um, I've tried role playing with my girls, and it's hit or miss at their age. It's really hard to keep their attention for more than 10 minutes. Um, I think age has a lot to do with it, but in general, I feel like just exposure.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's certainly what one of the points I was making earlier,
Played
which is
like
that,
in my garage with my friends.
right.
The girls were always there. They're popping in. They're hanging out. They're rolling dice. They're putting on a Viking helmet. I mean, just having kids be around it is good. I think they just sort of soak that up, and I'm sure that there are a lot of active gamers out there that their kids are probably all over it.
And, you have more resources than you probably ever did, right?
But I think, oh, certainly, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's the internet. There's anything that I want to buy for crafting supplies right around the corner. I mean, I have a lot of friends who game. Like I said, I have a lot of parent volunteers that are interested in. I have a friend of mine who helped. He's helping the musician I mentioned. His name is Bobby. He helped with he's helping with the layout for the booklet. I guess you want to call it the rule booklet or the story booklet, I like to call it. It's just interesting to find parents who you find what they're good at, and then you let them rock it. I mean, when the club was active, we'd find you find a parent who would just come out and say, hey, I'm really good at making this one item, or I'm really good at sewing. Can I sew something, or can I? You just let people follow their own bliss.
And I think that's definitely good advice, right? Which is sort of,
Well, and I feel like a game like this where a kid, the character creation, I've always found character creation is like, I enjoy it because I'm older and I understand the rules. But for a younger kid, I think it's really hard to, when they have so many options, it's hard to get them really really into it. I mean, the character in our game here is just, here's a here's a character sheet. And really, it's sort of an intro to role playing more than I'm building a character. It's more of like, hi, my name is, I'm awesome at, my magical powers are. And so the kids just create whatever character they want.
Right. And that's role playing. Role playing, that's what
Yeah,
it is. It's
absolutely.
make
Yeah.
believe, and that's where you start, which is just
Yeah.
envisioning and projecting who you'd like to be or who you pretend to be.
Yeah.
I think we lose that sometimes with lots of rules, and but when you get with kids, you go back to the basics, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
No, I didn't really have much of a comment there.
So other than that, that's a huge piece. I think it's on a lot of people's minds. The other question I think is you've now traveled to the future and you're going back into the past to tell past you
Mhm.
what to do with Kickstarter. And if you were going to do it differently, what advice would you give your former self going into a Kickstarter?
Well, I would definitely I would plug I there are things about Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure that so we've researched this, right? And Kickstarter has an algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about not necessarily about how much money you make, but how many people support you. So I think I would have focused a little more heavily on, hey guys, just back us. We don't care if it's $1. We just want, we just want Kickstarter
To notice.
notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, because you look at some of those, the kicks, like, how does Kickstarter get to the front page of Kickstarter? Well, I'm
Right.
not sure. I mean, it looks like we're doing good. Shouldn't I, do we go there sometime? But I think there's probably a scientific algorithm of some sort that I'm not super savvy enough to
No,
talk about.
you've got it. Drive through RPG is similar. Where I have a bunch of published stuff, and what I've discovered is even if it's $1,
Yeah.
because it's new,
Yeah.
new gives you publicity, right?
Yeah.
So being new and being current and having people sort of engage is actually more important than the big blast early,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
then you
I
lose
think
it.
that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
you're far more eloquent than I am.
No, no, I mean, and this is hard won experience. I've been part of Kickstarters. I've never run one. So you've got, you're certainly, and it's not over.
Oh no, it's not over. And
It's not
I
over.
mean, we're still learning things every day. And once it wraps, probably going to learn a lot. And we're going to learn a lot more.
So
I don't know.
you're in the,
I think it's important to have a lot of really cool visuals.
yep.
I'm a visual person.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to put up, colorful. I like color, cool images. Just one thing that I've noticed, I think there are different types of Kickstarters. I personally kind of just like to keep it simple. But I think there are different types of customers that look for different things on Kickstarter too, right? I mean, you have some customers that are like, I'm looking for this, this, and this, and I want to see a picture of every piece in that box. And if that's not there, that's a problem for me.
Mm-hmm.
But our Kickstarter is more about the journey and creating the box. So I think you really have to sort of figure out what's the vibe of your Kickstarter?
Right.
Is it, if you do, are you trying to tell a story like we're telling a story? Then yeah, you need to go in that direction. Or if you have this game and all you want to do is show people this is the finished product, buy this product, then you need to rock that, and you need to have professional photos done. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And ours. We went with a vibe, and I like it. I like simplicity. I like being able to scroll down the screen and be like, okay, there's 8 or 9 options, instead of scrolling like some of the Kickstarters I've seen you scroll through 20. It's endless. You're like, oh my God, this is too much information for me.
Never ends.
And some people are really into that. Some people want to know,
Right.
every nut and bolt that's in that box. And those Kickstarters look amazing, and they're very slick and professional. But we wanted to create something just it's simple and got right to the point. And it's like, here's our story. And our Kickstarter too was a lot of it. The Crafty Quest box is about the story, right? You're supporting the story, and you're supporting the club. It's not just here's a product, buy this. At least that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, and certainly, look, it's different Kickstarters achieve different goals. I think
Absolutely.
in some ways,
Different.
the
Yep.
guys who are getting all the press are these massive ones now, so they sort of set a tone of this just I mean, what's happening now, and I know this is the case, is that Kickstarter is becoming a selling platform. It's not actually even a crowdfunding platform. It's sort of how you sell for some
Sure.
businesses, right? So they actually
Yeah.
don't, their product starts there. And if it doesn't sell, then it doesn't deserve to sell.
Right.
But in your case, obviously, you're literally, this is the beginnings of a business and a lifelong passion, hopefully.
Yeah, and
So
it
I think that's
was
true.
really it's kind of intimidating. You look at some of the stuff that's on Kickstarter, and you're like, this looks like it could just be a commercial on TV, you know?
Right.
Like someone obviously spent a lot of money creating this, and that's cool. I mean, that's great if that's where you're at in your business. That's not where we're at, you know.
I think that's okay.
We're just working it out, man. We're just
So we have people here. If I'm going to open it up, if you have any questions, feel free. But while we're doing that, just in case if there are questions, if they're not, that's fine.
Yeah, and sorry if I rambled.
No, not at all. So
yeah.
where do we find you? Where would we go for?
Well, right now we're basically a Facebook presence. It's
Okay.
Kids Arcanum Kickstarter.
Yep.
Eventually, when the Kickstarter finishes, we'll probably that will become our business Facebook page, Kids Arcanum. We do have kidsarcanum.com. We haven't built that site yet, and that will be coming hopefully within the next month or so, because we've secured the site and we got to, we want to get it up, because once the Kickstarter is done, we're still gonna sell these boxes.
And what would you? So somebody's watching this video, they're excited to join. What level of, but they're not sure where to start. What would you recommend in terms of supporting the Kickstarter? What's sort of the easy way to get engaged?
Supporting our Kickstarter?
Yeah, yours. Yeah, yours.
Well, obviously, I mean, you can go to Kickstarter and just Google Crafty Quest, search for Crafty Quest Box, and I'm sure it will pop up. If you go to our
is there a tier in particular that you think they should, what's?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on your family. I mean, we created a tier for a single box. We created a double box. We created a triple box.
What's the single box price?
$40.
$40. Okay.
Plus shipping to be determined. Yeah.
Yep.
And we also, that's another thing too. Like if you're local, I'm obviously this is not your publication is national, but
yeah,
for our local folks here, we're gonna hand deliver each box, and I'm probably gonna be in costume when I do it. So,
I expect nothing less.
I know.
You need to come to my house in costume after.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, Mike. After, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Maybe I'll come to your house in costume.
You should. We'll do it again.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, there's different tiers. The higher level tiers, we have our artist has agreed to, he'll draw a picture of your child, as your character, right? So if your kid is a wizard, maybe he'll draw a picture of your kid as a wizard. Color, black and white. We've got a limited edition tier, which I think is $80, which is a box. And we've made t-shirts. And our artist, I don't know if you saw on the page there, that image, that green image of the guild hall with all the goblins attacking it. That's our limited edition t-shirt. We're only printing 50 of those. But yeah, we've got t-shirts, we've got stickers, we've got the limited edition tees. I know a lot of people that have 3 kids. I'm like, I'm gonna buy 3 of these boxes. All right, well, we made a triple box tier and we discounted it.
Excellent. We have a question. David, do you have a question? Okay, I think we unmuted you.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, Mike Best, I love this project.
Hey, thank you.
And I can't wait to get my box and look through it and play with it, and share it with kids or get ideas. I just think anything that encourages imagination and creativity is good for the world, particularly the children in it.
Yeah.
But for everyone. I mean, this is just doing the good work. What beyond the Kickstarter? What would whether you have a practical model or plan in mind or not? What would your dream be for where this went? On your list. I mean, we could.
Sure. Well, we have plans. We're taking it a day at a time, but we've got, we want to do multiple boxes. I have so many interesting crafting ideas that I'd like to make maybe smaller boxes, like little one-offs where kids can do a quick activity. With the pandemic and Zoom, we sort of dipped our toes in Zoom birthday parties. We did our first birthday party over the weekend, and it was so much fun. It was so cool. We had this little girl who her birthday was last year, literally the day that school went home and everything got canceled. So we're like, well, obviously we're gonna do this party for you, and it was a blast. We had a unicorn tea party, and we did a couple crafting activities, and they painted ceramic unicorns, and they built little familiar homes for their baby unicorns. And we had guest speakers show up. We had a couple elves pop in. We had the queen of the elves pop in and tell a unicorn story. And we had our bard showed up, and he sang some songs with them and used some Zoom magic to
I may game with some of these people.
Yeah, you will be, actually. Yeah. To shape shift and teach the kids about shape shifting and different types of fantasy creatures. We try to plug that pretty hard. But yeah, I mean, we want to do more. We want to get back out in the community. We want to go to cons. We want to do events. I see us going to cons once we're back in person, and maybe hosting like a crafting room, or a corner of an area where we can have kids come and they can paint shields or wands, or like I said, I've got 100 different crafting activities and we had this planned out for our event, our Gathering of the Realms. We had a whole basement that we were gonna load full of crafting activities, so that way the little kids that didn't want to play D&D could just go down there and they can just craft their little hearts out. And yeah, I mean, we're going to be working with a couple of the local gaming stores to hopefully sell. Well, we'll be selling the boxes in the stores, but hopefully helping them drum up some foot traffic for the stores. We'll do some events, maybe do a couple online events, box opening kind of things. I mean, it's the sky's the limit here. We just want to get people gaming and crafting and just nerding out, really. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, when you can get parents to bring their kids to a gaming event and they're all dressed up, it's a thing of beauty. It really is. But
that's
yeah.
awesome. And as somebody,
we've got plans.
I've been to a lot of the kid-friendly con stuff, and it just varies tremendously, right? So I can imagine a service like invite Kingdom of Row or Crafty Quest, whatever you want to call it, Kids Arcanum, to a convention, and they run the kids program would be enormous. I mean, that alone, never mind the boxes and all the other stuff, but just that alone is a con service that guarantees a level of quality and engagement for kids.
Yep. Really, I'm just looking for opportunities to dress up. I mean,
yes, and be your gnome character.
I just want to dress like a gnome alchemist and just walk around and just give away free stuff. I mean, that's the end game here.
Like Santa Claus, but smaller and a little bit more
smaller with blue hair. Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions for Mike? Yes, Ted, are you able to unmute? You need to unmute. Let me see if I can. I'm going to ask to unmute. Will that work? Try now, Ted.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you go back to at the beginning where you had that page that said Kids Arcanum at the top?
I can try. It started fighting me. Let's see. You talking about the Kickstarter or the Facebook page?
It might have been the Facebook page.
Purple? If it was purple, it was the Facebook page.
Yeah, that was the Facebook page.
Yeah.
I can try. I, of course, close that while we're talking, but I will bring it up. Here it is. Okay. I say that okay, like it's going to just do it, but there it is. This one. Yep.
Let's see. Yeah. So I just want to ask David how much he was paid to model for the illustration.
Hey, if I can't make those Zoom parties, maybe I can give you a call to substitute. You can be my understudy.
Yeah, I don't have blue hair, Ted. So
that can be arranged.
Yeah, you rock the beard way better than I ever could. So
no. Well, I could make one magnificent gnome. My students do try to dye the beard on a regular basis, but they have to get my wife's permission first. So.
That's fair.
I love it. Awesome. So if there's is there any other questions? Otherwise, I think we'll start to wrap up.
And to David's point too, to his question again too, is we want to keep doing stuff with the school, right?
Yeah.
Because these kids are going bonkers. Half of them are hybrid, half of them are remote. And so we're planning virtual events, like I said before, where we can get together and we can all paint, and we're going to sort of use the same birthday template, right? We're going to do the crafts, and we're going to be nerdy, but we're going to have the guests show up and do whatever awesome thing that they're awesome at, storytelling or, musicians or whatever.
Virtual or in person, right? I mean, that's the other thing is you're doing both. You're proving you can do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to be in person, but we just never know these days. So we're just going to go with what we know for now. Another side note too, is we want to support local artists, like our artist, Bruce. We want to support local game shops, local t-shirt shop. I mean, we want to try to keep things local as much as we can.
It's going to, you're starting the beginning of a movement. It's the beginning of a movement. I'm convinced.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, it's funny because, we did a news spot. I don't know if you showed them that article, that video. We did a local news spot, and I think there was a statistic that like 35,000 people watched that.
Wow.
And within an hour, I had several people email me that, wow, this is awesome. I need you to teach me how to start a club. Like, can you come to my school, or can you do this? And I don't have the bandwidth yet to do that, mentally and emotionally, but I'm going to follow up with every single one of those people, and it's going to happen. I mean, that's the dream, to build a community, to build, to have a club at every school, have an event where everyone represents, right? And they come and we have a gathering.
I just posted this article on the CAR-PGA page, and I couldn't believe it. There is a online classes that you can teach that are kind of amazing, and it's called OutSchool. And this article here, this mom is making $10,000 a month teaching D&D. Not only D&D, but there's definitely an appetite, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And she was like, they were selling out. She was teaching D&D and like selling out. So the timing is right. You're the person to do it. I'm so proud of you, both as a friend and as sort of an entrepreneur. I think, and you're doing it grassroots. You're not sort of just coming at this from as an individual. You're doing it as a community, which I think is massive, right? You're taking the community, everybody wins, because all those artists and all those parents, everybody's going to benefit from this being successful.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the dream, right? And would I like this to be my job? Of course. I mean, sure, that would be awesome. But this is my hobby, and I'm passionate about it, and I don't see that stopping in the near future. So
yeah, somehow I think a blue-haired gnome, you've got to be pretty passionate.
You know what? I love it. I just want to dress up, and I could go off on a Renfest tangent, but I won't. But I mean, I love all that stuff, and I just like to see people just getting their geek on and just rocking it,
So did you say you have a clip available of the party publicly, or is that private? Do you have something that you can share?
It's private for now.
Okay.
I mean, I may end up posting some clips of it,
Right. Whatever curated clip. Yeah, because there's kids involved, right?
I know I would never just post something like that without a parent's permission.
Totally.
I mean, I hope so. Honestly, I watch it if I'm feeling down. I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. Like these kids are killing me. I watch a little clip of it and it cheers me up. I mean,
what we'll do is we're gonna post this video to, I think it's currently my YouTube channel. I gotta still work on the CAR-PGA YouTube channel, but we'll have it posted. We'll put in the summary links to your Kickstarter, which has.
Oh, that's much appreciated. Yeah.
How many days to go?
Oh, not much. I think
6 days.
Yeah, we're getting down
6
there.
6 days to go, and we'll put in there links to the Facebook. And you are a CAR-PGA member, so any support we can provide, this included, we're happy to do it. So
well, that's very kind. I mean, a lot of people have already supported me, and I every little bit is humbling, and it's we're thankful for everything.
Well, and as I said, part of the CAR-PGA's mission, certainly that we've talked about at length, is reaching people from all walks of life, and it starts right here. So this is a huge opportunity for, I think, gaming in general, and fantasy, parents, kids. But you're doing a great job. So keep going.
Thanks, Mike.
Don't stop.
I don't think I can, actually.
We both
know
you
me.
can't.
I just can't really do it halfway. I just can't.
Kind of an addiction. Yeah, you're extra.
Yeah.
As my daughter likes to say, Dad, you're so extra. I was like, I am totally extra. So so are you.
Yeah. That's a good way to
But awesome. Yeah, so that's great. So that's all our time. I'll stop the recording, and we will next month, Fenway, you are going to be, now you know what you're in for, so that's good. So it's no worse or better than this. So however you feel about that, hopefully you do show up and are not horrified by how this went. But we're very excited to have Fenway as our next guest, and I will send that invitation out soon, and we will be talking about Jasper's Game Day. So I can't wait.
Well, thank you. And thank you guys for your questions and for just listening to my ramble on about this.